For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully, I'm going to teach you something over the next 30 minutes. Now, something that I've come to realize is that thanks to social media and the whole quote-unquote influencer lifestyle, everybody is creating products, right? Everybody is selling, whether they make something, whether they have subscriptions, whether, OnlyFans or newsletters, or you can have a subscription on Instagram for extra content. Everybody has become a product, or I guess commodity product, whatever word you want to use. And it's kind of making me sit there and go, everybody wants my money because everybody has some kind of a product. Whether I like it, I'm interested, need it, whatever. But that doesn't necessarily make everybody a business person. And so I've owned my company for, is it almost 20 years now, I guess? Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, right? I'm not new into this game here. So I did an interview recently with a publication that was asking me, what makes me a good business person? Or even just in general, what makes a good business person? So, let me be clear. I am not comparing myself to, a billionaire, to a Bezos, to a Musk, to a Winfrey. I'm not doing that at all. But I've had great success because, I was basically able to retire at the age of 39. So, if you want to look at that and go, well, that's pretty damn successful then. If you can basically go and say, yeah, I'm done work before I turn 40, that's a successful business person, right? Whether that's owning a company or just being able to make that money for myself and be able to stop working, right? I still own the companies. I employ people, so it's a different, situation than just the quote-unquote influencer who's basically just doing that as an income, right? It's almost kind of like a salary as you work for yourself. So my tips, advice, and just overall thoughts about what makes a good business person coming up on The Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on The Scribble. All right, so what personality traits make a good business person? Is it, that never give up attitude? Is it stubbornness? Is it persistence? Is it optimism, positivity, manifesting? I fucking hate that word. I hate that word, manifesting. I have a cousin who all she ever posts on, and I don't go on Facebook often, but I think what happens is because when I do go on, I look at her page, and so now when I open it, she's the first post, right? Like it's the algorithms or whatever. Like it knows that I've clicked on her page or that I've clicked on her content. So no, that's what it shows me. And so the reason I click on it is because it's very funny to me. So this is somebody who is just so much in love, and motherhood is the best thing in the world. And I'm manifesting love into the new year, and well, I'm manifesting wealth, and I'm manifesting this, and it's like, how about you just live your goddamn life at some point? Like, why are you, what does that even mean? I'm manifesting it. Just say that you're dreaming, you're thinking. It's a glam word, like manifesting, you know. And I saw that on, oh shit, what show was it? Was it, oh crap, I can't remember what it was. Was it The Bachelor? Where they're manifesting love, and they're oh, and then by the way, they were using the word, intentionality, or I'm being intentional, or intentionality or something. And I was like, the word is, you know, intentional. Like the word is, you know, or I'm acting with intent. The word is intent. Like however they were saying it, I'm just like, no, the word is intent, not whatever word you just made up. So that's something that we find all through society, and it's buzzwords, right? What's the other one that I always laugh at? Oh, love languages. I didn't even know what that meant. Just now I'm talking about The Bachelor, so I'm thinking about that. One of our teammates, one of our guys at the coffee company, had texted me or emailed or something and asked me what my love language is, and then they asked the same thing of my husband. He said Portuguese because he's Brazilian. I didn't know what it meant. So they said, what's your love language? I said, I don't know. And then they started listing a bunch of options, and I just stopped and I said, that sounds like single person chatter or lingo or, you know, vocabulary, whatever. Like I don't know married people who say that. And so when I looked into it, then I was kind of like, yeah, this is just glossing up neediness and, you know, basically saying like what you need, what you expect of a partner. And I don't know that that's even a way to go into a successful relationship. But we're not talking about relationships, we're talking about business. So let's circle around to that. What's a good business owner? Staying focused and on topic and on task. No. So here's the thing. I started my company, as I said, 20 some years ago, as just by myself writing a weekly newspaper column, writing a weekly commentary, and then I was trying to get it into newspapers. Remember, 20 years ago, okay? Newspapers were a thing back then. And so I was living at my parents' house, and I was in the basement. I was on the computer all hours of the night. This is before the days of Google and social media and all that stuff. It was not easy to just go and, let me pull up a list. Hey, AI, give me a list of every newspaper contact in Canada. That didn't happen. So I literally went to every single newspaper website, and I found the email address for publishers, editors, opinion columnists, anybody who would be relevant. Or I thought would be relevant, because there were some that I later realized, and again, not every newspaper had a website even back then. So, I'm emailing, like a food magazine, even though it's listed as a newspaper, and I was just so embarrassed, right? But whatever, you just delete those when they reply and go, thanks, this doesn't really pertain to us, but best of luck. So, so that's what I did, was I just started to email a whole bunch of places, and and I did it every week. I wrote an opinion column, and I just sent it out. And then from there, I was able to get it into a bunch of different newspapers. So here I am writing one piece, one piece of content, and now I'm selling it to 4 different newspapers. And I was selling it for $15 each. Because again, I'm just starting out, whatever, I don't know how much I'm supposed to charge, something like that, But when you look at it and go, okay, well, that took me about 10 minutes to write. And I've already compiled this list. So I was up, for I don't know how many days in a row. I went province by province in Canada. Every night I was doing a different one, collecting, and, I had a contact list of about 600 and some. And so once I had that actually was what took the longest. It took me 10 minutes to write this thing. I blast out and go, hey, you know what? If I sold it to 4 papers, that's $60. $60 for 10 minutes of work? Yeah. Again, 20 years ago, that was pretty good money, right? So I was like, okay, great. Now, then through a series of different interactions and opportunities, I then started to host a radio show. This radio station in Vancouver wanted me to record the commentaries for radio. And I thought, here we go. Okay, so I've already written it. Now I just have to go and sit in front of a microphone and record it. And I'd always had a thing for radio, even when I was a kid. So I thought, hey, that's perfect. So I've done the work. I've already written it. I'm not doing anything special except, basically it's almost like I'm proofreading it out loud, right? You're kind of just reading it back, but you put a little bit more energy into it, of course. So I can make money from that too. So here I am, and I've got my $60 from selling it to newspapers. Now I can put it on the radio. Okay, great. Then I made my speakfreewithjb.com website, and I thought, well, I'm going to post these as well then, and I can get Google ads or whatever it was at the time. Actually, I was selling ad space on the website, and there we go. So I can write one thing, cash in on it multiple ways. So in a newspaper, on the radio, on a website, and just do the work one time. And now I've made $100 just from that. So the radio station offered me a couple times. They'd offered me my own show. We love your personality. It's fun talking with you. I had done some kind of phone-in stuff with other hosts on the station, and they liked me, and we had a good time. And then I went to Vancouver to was the first time to cover the Olympics. I don't remember what I was doing there, but it was a great opportunity to meet them face to face. I had never, and again, this is before the days of like video chats and things, right? We had phone calls. We spoke on the phone all the time. So when I went there and met them, and it was really kind of fun, and I did some radio stuff with them there. Yeah, it was the Olympics, I think, that I went in 2010 for the Vancouver Olympics. I was already doing my show, though, a couple more visits later, and I was doing this weekly top 40 music show, and then after a few months on that station, I kind of realized they weren't really, it was an internet station, they didn't really kind of figure out the business model, like it was, the whole novelty was no commercials, it's all just gonna, and I thought, that's not, everybody just wanted to be the host, nobody wanted to handle the business side of things, they just wanted to be the creatives, they wanted to be the on-air talent, and so I thought, I'm always going to make this a business. Every decision, everything that I produce, everything that I'm going to do is there's going to have to be money, involved, because that's real. I'm trying to make this my career, right? This is going to be my profession, my hopefully lifelong career. So I ended up syndicating the radio show. So just like I did with the newspaper column, and I had that in 4 newspapers, I thought, well, I can do this for the radio show. They didn't own the radio show that I was doing. I was producing it. It was all on me. And I had more money. If they did try to take me to court, well, I could just crush them. So I syndicated my show to, I don't remember what it was that year. We launched in April of that year, and then on the first initial station. And then I took it to other stations, maybe about 4, was it the summer? I'm trying to think of when I started doing it for other stations. Let's say that it was September. I don't recall. But basically, within that year, at least, I had it on. Oh, crap, I can't remember. I should have made notes, but it was multiple stations. Let's say it was 5. It might have been 8. I don't recall, but it was still quite a few. And so here I am now. I've got my Excel spreadsheet, and I'm basically making a calendar of the entire week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then like a timetable you'd have at school, right? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And I started to jot in where my show was airing on what station, and I was kind of building the schedule, going, I wonder if I could be on a radio station somewhere 24 hours a day, right? On this station at 12, this station at 2, this station at 4, this station at 6. And that was kind of my goal, right? So they weren't necessarily paying me for the content. I gave them 2 options. You can either pay for the show weekly at $75, or you give me the 2-hour block and I can do whatever I want. So if I sell my own commercial airtime, or I get my own segment sponsorships, you want the content for free, well then I need something out of that too, right? And so most of them didn't have money to pay for it, so I just said, great, the 2-hour block is mine. I'm going to give you decent content, I'm not doing anything risque or, adult or problematic. And once you have that reputation with the station, they're kind of like, okay, he produces good stuff, we trust him, he's good. And so that was what I did. And so then the next year, so in the second year of the show, I had 20-something radio stations at that point. And then I started to get opportunities because I had a bigger audience. I was able to get celebrity interviews. Event coverage didn't come for another year or two because, I guess it was 2010, 2011, where I was doing the Olympics. I was doing the America's Got Talent red carpet, The Voice, American Idol, Celebrity Apprentice, TV Land Awards, what else was there? The AMAs, the ACAs. I didn't get Emmys or anything like that for a few more years, but at least I had a foot in the door with the TV networks, and I was being invited to things. So when I have this product, and really the trajectory for the radio shows kind of started low, and then all of a sudden when you have these opportunities of like, whoa, now I've got celebrity guests and red carpets. I mean, these small little internet stations or local stations, they didn't have access to Hollywood. So of course my show was a draw, because they're like, yeah, you know what, everybody plays Ryan Seacrest, everybody plays, I guess, was Casey Kasem on the air at the time, or Dick Clark even maybe, but Ryan Seacrest was definitely around. You know, every local market seems to have a Ryan Seacrest version of their show, or of his show. So here's just this average guy next door who's talking to celebrities. So that was something of interest to these stations. And so that was a big selling point, because I didn't have to go to stations after a while. They were coming to me because they had either heard me or Googled or whatever it was. And they started to reach out to the show and said, we'd love to air your show. And that's exactly what you want, right? So, and then from there, it just obviously, like I said, 15 years of this one show, and it turned into everything. But the reason why I like having that kind of a start is being a self-made person, because when I did then form a company, as I did, I can bring people in. Now, I was able to poach them from a publishing company that I worked at. That's where Bonnie Winters, our producer, came from. Raylene is our accountant. She was the controller at the publishing company. We all kind of left there one by one. They all went on to other opportunities. I was starting to focus on my job. And then I said, hey, you guys, we were all still in touch. I said, do you guys want to come and work for me? Like, you know, I was kind of doing this little radio thing back then, and it's kind of turned into this. And we've all still been together at this time. So 20-some years. When I got together with Bonnie for my birthday, I went out to her cottage, and she was there with her husband, Mike. They've been married 50-some years. And I said, how old's your grandson? His name is Dylan. I said, how old's Dylan now? And she said, he's 18 now. And I said, I remember when you became a grandma. We don't have turnover at our company. I know that it sounds weird where you're just like, really? Nobody's left? It's the same team. So when you think about that and go, well, what makes you a successful business person? I have the same people. And we know each other. We don't have any bitchy, gossipy, backstabby kind of things. It's a no-drama workplace. You'd think for a big ol' homo like me, it's going to be drama. No, actually, I don't play with that shit. It's not. If you're going to be trouble, you are out. We're not. And when we started the coffee company 4.5 years ago, we did have two people that didn't work out right away. And initially I got a good vibe from them. My husband was a little bit unsure. And then when I kind of saw them in action before we actually launched and we were just doing some behind the scenes things, I was kind of like, those two are just not... One of them rubbed me the wrong way, not literally. And then the other one, I just kind of was like, I'm just not feeling it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you kind of just... I'm just not gelling with you, and I really have to in this situation. And that's just the kind of way that I operate. So one of the great things about when you start from the ground up, like, I would never want to be a business owner, or I wouldn't want to be a CEO of, let's say, Amazon or something that I didn't start. I don't want to come into, and now I'm just going to randomly throw out, a Pizza Hut or a McDonald's or a Best Buy. I don't want to be a CEO of that company, because here's the thing. I might know on paper or in theory what each job role entails, right? Like a customer service person, I get what the job is. You're going to greet people, you're going to show them, you're going to try to upsell, you're going to bring them through, you're going to stock shelves when it's slow, you're going to, we all kind of figure out what that role is, right? We kind of all figure out what a marketing job is, what a social media job is, what a finance job is, what a receiving, like a product, shipping and receiving role is. We all know what those are, but if I'm working at Best Buy, or if I'm the CEO of Best Buy, I don't know what it's like on the ground, in their shoes for the employee. That's where you see those shows like Undercover Boss or whatever, like, oh, I want to find out. Well, that's just ignorance. Why did a TV show take, to do that? In our company, I have done every role. Like I said, as I was outlining the way the newspaper columns and the radio shows worked, is I was the one whoring it out and pimping it out and trying to get it on radio stations. I was the one booking the guests. I was the one selling ad time. I was the one coordinating red carpet events and prize giveaways and whatever else we had on the go. so that when I'm actually looking to expand and bring people in, I know exactly what you're going through because I did that. Right? Same thing when we started Happy Bulge Swim Company. I was at the booth when we started it and we were at Pride events. I was at the booth. I was there first thing in the morning. We were literally the last booth at Phoenix Pride. We launched at Phoenix Pride that year that we launched. And all the other booths had packed up. Everybody was already gone. It was dark already. It was kind of becoming cold. I think it was April of that year. So even though Phoenix, it was still kind of chilly in April, and all the other booths had packed up, and I looked at where our booth was in proximity to the stage where, I can't remember who was performing, but there was a big name performing. And I thought, wait a second. The stage is on one end and the parking lot is on the other end. Not that every single person has to pass by this booth, but they have to come in this general direction. Because you've got the rows and rows of booths, so some people are obviously going to go behind the booth, people are going to go the other row, but a good chunk of them are going to come past this booth when they're leaving tonight. So yeah, we had lights. They when you rented a booth, they gave you lights and stuff behind your whatever and above your tent. And so I waited. And even people that were packing up their booths are going like, oh, you're staying here? I said, yeah, the concert's still going, whatever. That was probably the most traffic that we had because there was no competition. Nobody else was open. Nobody was around. So yes, anybody that we hired for Happy Bulge, I've done the social media, I've done the customer service, I've done the DMs, I've done the promotion, I've done the giveaways, I've been on the ground at the Pride event, and I know how to talk to the customer, and I know how to message it, and I know the voice and the tone that we use when we post on there. And same thing with the coffee. I might not have ever had a sip of coffee in my life, but I can do every one of the jobs that is required. I've ordered product, I've delivered product, I've created packaging, I've created labels, I've done invoicing, I've done all that crap because I had to do that for the radio show when I was booking ads and I had to do, paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I feel like a good business person can understand, especially if you're the entrepreneur, it's your business, that I've done those roles. Yes, Best Buy CEO would be a great paying job and a great opportunity. And you kind of, at that point, you kind of look at it and go, I don't have to do that kind of stuff because I'm CEO. I feel that's a bad thing. Because you're out of touch. You don't really know. Again, like I said, you know what marketing is. You know what customer service is. But you don't know what they're going through. The people that are working at your company, that are on your sales floor, you don't know the day-to-day of what they experience. That's why those shows like Undercover Boss, you have the CEO, the millionaire CEO going, oh shit, I never even realized the most basic things about our deep fryer in this restaurant. Oh, we do it this way? That's so inefficient. Right? That's, to me, first of all, that's a slap in the face to your employees because they're looking at it going, oh my God, he makes how much and I make how little? Right? And then for somebody who's an entrepreneur who's grown their own business, and like I said, if somebody calls in sick tomorrow at our company and they have, a pivotal role or whatever it is, Bonnie Winters, our executive producer, calls out sick or whatever, I can jump in and produce the show that she's going to miss. Or if, whatever, I can't think of another example. But you get my point, is I'm not above doing any job with this company because I've done them all. So when somebody tells me their pain points about whether it's, because we don't really book celebrity guests anymore, but I mean, let's say that that's what we're doing, right? We're still in the midst of the radio show and it's coming up to award show season or season finales of TV shows or whatever. And, publicist is being difficult or a TV network isn't getting back to us. Absolutely come to me. I know how to get a response from them. Whether it's yes or no, I know how to get a response from them. So come to me. I will personally reach out then. Not in a, do you know who I am kind of a way. No, but just kind of, all right, well, I've dealt with that person or I've dealt with that company. This is the way we're going to do it. So I'm not above anybody at our company coming to me and saying, what do you think about this? Should I do this? How did you handle this? What would you absolutely come to me? I'm reachable, for the most part all the time because it's a reflection on me, right? I mean, your company has a fuck up or screws up somehow, then when it's a small company, yeah, it's kind of on you. And so I think at the very beginning when I started, obviously, like I said, I was doing every job. There was this hesitance and this resistance for me to actually bring in other people because as an entrepreneur, yes, you're expected to be a control freak. You're expected to, not want to hand over the reins because you're not going to fully trust somebody to come in. Whether that's I'm in business with my husband. That's a very, risky sort of situation because not only can that ruin a marriage or a relationship, you could ruin a business too. You could lose both of those things, right? So I was very sort of controlling, and being the type of person that I am, that, it has to be just so, it has to be this way because this is how I've done it. At some point, I don't know how long it took me, but it was at least a few years for me to kind of take that step back and go, well, wait a second. I'm paying these people to do this shit. Like, why am I still getting involved? Why am I having to be looped into the most mundane things? Not that I was breathing down their necks. I wasn't micromanaging. I didn't do anything like that. But I definitely needed to be clued in on everything. Have you had a boss like that where it's kind of like, and copy me on this? And so what I realized, wait a second, I've known these people for so long. These aren't just people off the street. I know how they work. They know how I work. We've developed communication styles with each other over the years, 20 years now at this point. And so we just get it. And so I'm not in a panic. And so in the last few years of the radio shows, when we were taping tourism programming or red carpet stuff or whatever it was, when we were doing a travel program at the very beginning, I was in on the phone calls. I needed to know every little detail. I had to everything. At the end, I'm not kidding you, at the end, it was whoever was producing we usually gave them to, because they were big shows, our EPs, we have 2 EPs, would generally do it, and Suzanne or Bonnie. And so I wouldn't even know what I was doing when we taped shows in Fort Lauderdale, which actually ended up getting canceled. We taped them, and they didn't air because the pandemic hit a few months later, or the next month, I think it was. But I wasn't clued in on anything about that until I was on the plane with Suzanne. We were flying to Florida, and that's when she was briefing me on what we were doing. That would have never happened years earlier. I needed to know, before I even stepped foot in the airport, I needed to know what's happening from the first minute I get there. I need to see the entire itinerary. I'm going to go through it and go, wait a second, we've got an hour block here that's not filled. What are we doing here? What's on this? And like I said, you just drive yourself crazy, and at some point you go and say, you know what? She's done already how many of these travel shows? She's got it. Because if you don't trust in your people, again, like I said, you've had a boss like that. You've had a boss that needs to know every little thing and is going to be checking on you all the time. That never worked for me as an employee. I'm not going to do that to the people that work for me. And you know what? This is now going to be this is semantics. The people that work with me. I don't like saying that it's, that you're working for me. I'm also not the type of employee that does the good job, and thanks for that, thanks for the hard work, because we're all together. They know that. They know that I'm appreciative. They know that, and they've got it pretty good here. We generally don't work Fridays. When we still do our entertainment shows, we try to keep taping Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We've got, there's time off like you wouldn't believe. So it's not like I'm this, my people are taken care of. Again, they wouldn't be here for 20 years if I was a shitty person. So I don't do the pat on the heads because I never liked that as a writer. When I would be writing for other companies or whatever it was, and people would go and say like, oh, that's really good. Yeah, good article. Yeah, I know. That's why you brought me in here. I get it. I appreciate the compliment, but I'm just kind of like, I don't need to be told good job all the time. Maybe because I didn't get that as a kid, and that's maybe sort of why I did become an entrepreneur, so that I could do my own thing and not have to be relying on somebody to congratulate me about things. It's like, I'll just do it myself, and I'll celebrate my own accomplishments. So that's what I think. That's what I know makes a good business person. Somebody who has done every role and can go and say, you know what, I know what you're going through because I did that before you came on board. And then also just trusting in the people. So coming up in the next segment, I want to talk about Meghan Markle and just the way that she puts up this front, this image that she's a founder and that she's this business person, which we all know her As Ever brand or her lifestyle show that's called, give me the name again. The Netflix, With Love, Meghan, thank you. Bonnie Winters, my executive producer, was on it. She was on it with that name. I'm going to talk about Meghan Markle coming up in the next segment on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble, talking about what makes a good business person. So that name, Meghan Markle. All right, so what makes a good business person? Everything that Meghan Markle does not do. That's the answer to that. Because, she had a bunch of stumbles earlier in the year when she started to launch that... it had a different name, as ever, what was it, American Riviera or American Orchard Riviera or something like that. And then there was a trademark issue and she couldn't get it, so she had to change the name. And then she did this whole... overpriced honey and jam and things like that, and they were sold out right away, and there was this sort of like sham of, that's how much people wanted it. That is how in demand these products were, that they sold out in the first hour, like she's fucking Taylor Swift tickets or something. And that started to get people wondering, like, wait a second, so if this is such a highly anticipated product line or brand, you didn't prepare for this? If Netflix is behind the deal as well, they didn't stock up on enough shit? Really? I mean, that's something where you want to kind of have... It's a good... I think back to our e-commerce stores at the very beginning. We didn't order a lot of product because you don't know how things are going to sell. So I can almost see that being the situation for Markle's line, that you don't know if people are going to pay $18 or $28 or whatever it is for honey or jam, whatever it is. So you will order in a smaller quantity. Well, if you're smart, you'll order in a smaller quantity. And that's what we did with our swimwear stuff, is that we would legitimately order 2 of each size of swimwear. 2 small, 2 medium, 2 large, 2 XL, 2 XXL. 10 pieces in total. We launch them, see what happens. If they sell out that first day, great. We order more, we have them here in a few days. We're not having an entire case, an entire box of this one style of swimsuit if we don't even know that people like it. So once you know what your good sellers are, then you go, okay, we can ramp up. All right, this one is, this is a common size that people are buying. So let's keep the medium and large kind of on standby all the time, or let's order 4 of it this time and then 2 of the other sizes next time when we're replenishing. So you do small little incremental purchases at the very beginning just because. Now, here's the thing. If you're a Meghan Markle, I would think that you would do the opposite. You would be better safe than sorry, because if you are a celebrity and you believe that your clout and that your name recognition, your quote-unquote brand is going to drive products, you better have an entire warehouse stocked. What that says to me is, 1, either bad planning, 2, they wanted to make it seem like this is in demand, because and a lot of critics were going and saying, we don't even know what the first run of inventory was like. Did they have 10 of each thing and that was it? It certainly wasn't thousands. And then you have the stumble of they were then taking orders for products that they didn't even have in stock. So they had to refund and send apology emails to everybody. And that's a PR nightmare for something like that to happen. Again, poor planning. But then, all of this first round of products was sold out. I don't remember how many she had. Was it 6 products or 8 products? It wasn't a very big collection. Then that sells out right away. And it's sold out on the website for months. Well, that's not building up anticipation, right? Like, why would you launch and then all of a sudden now you don't even have anything? So why are you still promoting shit on social media? Like, you're still doing this content blitz, and it's almost like you're just teasing people. Now people are just getting pissed off because you're dangling the carrot in front of them, but you're also not saying when the products are going to return. Are they ever going to return? As ever? What happened with them? Where'd they go? And then you come to find out that she's white labeling it, which means basically just taking, when you go to Walmart or those stores, you get the barbecue chips. And it's got the Walmart brand on it. You know that Walmart is not making potato chips. You know they're not. Just like Trader Joe's or Costco or whatever, it's some packing plant, a co-packer it's called, or a white label or whatever it is. Somebody else makes it, they stick the label on it, and they sell it as their own product. Well, we come to find out that that's exactly what Meghan is doing with, allegedly that's what she's doing, because Williams-Sonoma and can't think of the bee company that apparently makes the honey. So people online were kind of looking and going, wait a second, it looks like she's getting her shit from this company and is marking it up higher than everybody else. Well, that's going to blow up in your face too. So not only do you have products that aren't available, you're selling products that aren't available, you're marking up products that aren't available, and people are like, well, how about I just go to Williams-Sonoma or just buy directly from this manufacturer? And, like, why am I... The Megan markup is what they were calling her, or Duchess of drop shipping. So, you kind of look at that and go, it's just weird. It's a bunch of stumbles. It's a bunch of fails. And then you have her going and promoting and talking about how she's she goes to her beehive and she's making the honey and she's cultivating these and making these recipes for her kids and this is all. And you're like, oh, wait a second though, because we've found that your products are basically just somebody else's with a label stuck on them. So that doesn't really add up to what you're saying. So there's this big whimsical lifestyle. I'm this homemaker. She's a fucking princess, and she makes no bones about telling you that all the time. Do you see her? And they even, remember, they rented a house. That's not even her fucking kitchen that she's in on that Netflix show. They didn't even use her own house. So you're pretending that you're in your kitchen, which it's not. You're slicing up a big fruit platter in the shape of a rainbow or whatever it is for your kids. Most parents are sitting there going, I'm not doing that in the morning. I don't have time to do that. I'm not doing that in full makeup and full glam. And I'm cutting up a banana or even just handing the banana in a bowl. And here, kid, eat it before we go to school. Done. And then you see her repackaging. Was it pretzels or something? She took a Trader Joe's bag and then just dumps it in an actual sort of like a cellophane or cello bag, and then kind of ties a bow or something around it and makes it look like it was something that she created. Meanwhile, she's just repurposing a fucking Trader Joe's pretzel or popcorn, whatever it was. I don't remember. Look this all up. I'm not making, it's all out there. So you kind of look at this and go, here's somebody who's making it seem like she's this big, monster business machine, that she's got these brands. She doesn't have the stuff restocked yet. And then all of a sudden now she's got a wine label, a wine brand coming out, which again ends up being another company that you can just get corporate wine labels. You can order. You've probably seen those kinds of things where, you might give corporate gifts, right? That's what this company is apparently. And it's the Meghan Markle label slapped on it and with a huge markup. So you just kind of go, wow, it's just stumble after stumble. Now, for somebody like me, I find it fascinating because I'm like, how is she going to screw up next? What terrible business decision is she going to make next? Like, how can she fuck this up even more? And then, it's just, she's talking about how she just wants to be taken seriously and how she, people hate watch her but they're still going to make my recipes after. And you're just kind of like, are you delusional? Like, how does this really... I don't know. I would be embarrassed if I'm the name. It's one thing. It's great to go and say, hey, you know what? We sold out, because we have that with our swimwear company too, where we can do a big promotion or a giveaway day or something like that. And we'll say to people, you know what? It's been kind of crazy. Hopefully there's still something good left in your size when it comes to the end of the giveaway weekend or whatever we're doing. That's a good thing, right? You want to be cleared out with a lot of stuff after you do a big promotion like that. But you replenish it almost right away, right? You have a couple days of downtime where things are empty, but you don't leave it empty now for the next 3 months. Either you find another supplier, you find a way to get more. So there's just things that didn't make sense, and that doesn't build trust in your customer. They think, apparently, that the Markle brand is so in demand that people are just going to wait, and it's going to build excitement until you can buy the gem again. No. Now people are just going to get pissed off because it's like, well, wait a second, I ordered it, you didn't have it, so now you have to refund me, and then you said that I'm going to get the first dibs on the new batch when it comes in. Well, when is it even coming in? Nobody's saying anything. You've got my data, you've got my credit card information, you've got my email, my phone number, my address, my name, my everything. So it was a full data grab on that. And a PR nightmare because you have to give the money back. So, I don't know. So I would say if you're considering going into business, don't follow in Meghan Markle's shoes. It's just not, I don't know. And remember, you don't have, they don't really have, I guess, royal money anymore because of, Harry's distancing himself, or the royals distancing themselves from him and her. So keep that in mind, all right? If you don't have a Netflix backing you, a royal family backing you, some millionaire backing you, and I'm surprised, like I said, that she's a celebrity and she's got such a high profile with a partnership with Netflix that they would almost like hang her out to dry. They would like throw her to the wolves and, I don't know. So anyway, send me your thoughts about either Meghan Markle or even just the business stuff that I've been talking about today. Live, Live, at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. We're out of time. I'm wrapping this up already because we're over time and I have to be a good business person and say to my team, we're over, and I'm going to let you get back to what is on your schedule for today. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm making a decision right now, an executive decision. We're going to do another episode of this show, and I'm going to talk to you about the influencer, quote unquote, influencer lifestyle. How it's never made sense to me and why people are not thinking far enough ahead. That is going to come up, I guess, next week on the show. So stick around for that. I might just even tape it right now because I'm on a roll, and if my team doesn't stick around for that, that's fine, but that's going to come up next week right here on The Scribble. My name is Jeremy Bradley. Again, the email address, live, Live, at jbonair.com. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real